So hey guys, I'm gonna be doing a patch 4.75 rundown. Before I do so, I did Nick actually reached out to me, and he interviewed me. I basically just talk about just a bunch of random topics about TFT, like about my life and stuff like that.
Before we go on, Soju, why don't you just talk a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. So hey guys, I stream TFT. Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. So definitely check them out. Gang link will be in the description. This is a really big patch. It's basically coined as set 4.75. People have been complaining, and I'm sure if you do tune into my streams that I've been complaining a lot as well. For like set 4.5 right now it was really poorly made. It was not poorly made. Like the units are fine. Some of the 4-cost carries were just really weak. And some of the 1-cost carries were way too strong. And not only that, but the item holders late game were just too... Like units wouldn't really pop off unless they had perfect items, but part of that is because relative to the 1-costs, they were just a little bit too weak. So this is going to be a huge patch. They're nerfing a lot of the 1-costs, and they're buffing a lot of the 4-costs, and then there's going to be a lot of like random adjustments, but we'll get into it. So Lucky Lanterns, stage 3, you can no longer get 2 loaded dice or 2 target dummies. On stage 4, it's the same thing. You can't get 2 loaded dice or 2 target dummies. And then on stage 4, it is no longer possible to get 3 item components. The reason for this is the Lucky Lanterns were benefiting high rollers way too hard, or not even high rollers, but people that were win streaking. For example, if you were win streaking, the loaded dice is different. I think the loaded dice is more so, it's just way too broken to get 2 loaded dice because the tempo of the game gets accelerated way too hard, especially if you are playing a reroll comp or you're playing a comp that can actually roll in 7 or like roll even earlier, and then you're just gonna get a lot stronger and everyone else just feels really bad going fast 8. And then also 2 target dummies was a little bit too tanky for the people that don't really have strong boards because they can't kill anything. And then with a side of like maybe ASOL players, Aatrox players, them just getting like screwed over. And then there's also, you can't get 3 item components. You can't really slam. Basically, if you are win streaking, you have more 2-star units, and the components is going to be in a way where your 2-star units can hold items more readily. So then you're just 6-0ing everyone. All the people that are low rolling are just like, wow, this game sucks. But anyway, that's the reason for that. The Lucky Lanterns, it's just like a quality of life change. So the games are less like swingy in terms of tempo. And then the Chosen odds is really big. It's you basically have a 50% chance to see a new Chosen. Or see a Chosen, assuming you don't have one. They're changing the level 4 odds, so pre-leveling to 4 is probably not that good anymore. I think staying like low level and guaranteeing 10 by 2-5, especially if you don't know if you're winning or losing, is really big. Like I think if you already have the 2-star 1-cost, I think still leveling to 4 is still good. And then they're also toning down the power of the Chosens. For example, the extra 30% AP you would get for the Chosen is now 15. The extra AD is 10. Like it doesn't look big, but it's really big. Like the AP is obvious, right? It's 15% spell power, but 10 AD is actually a lot because there's a lot of like scaling when it comes to AD carries and stuff. Chosen bonus mana reduction 15. So they're just toning down the Chosen power through the board, which is good. I think Chosen is a little bit too strong, so that is good. And then traits, they're nerfing 6 in. And they are nerfing just the Sin trait, just a tad bit. I'm not sure why, but that's okay. They're nerfing a lot of stuff, so maybe they're just doing it just to keep it in check. 6 brawler nerf. Or no, this is 8 brawler nerf on health, but the 6 brawler nerf to AD is actually pretty big because a lot of times when you're playing Shyvana, on 4-1, all you have to do is roll until 6 brawler and Shyvana 2, and your board is super stable. Like so stable that like I feel like I'd never lose with that board. But so they're just toning down like a free like linear comp down, which is good. They're buffing 9 cultists, just buffing the extra MR. I actually have not played 9 cultists a single time this set, but that's because they took out Riven, and Riven can actually like semi carry in cultists, so it's like probably like I still wouldn't play it. I don't think 9 cultists is that good. They're nerfing Dragon Soul. I think like okay, so this patch is honestly there's a lot of nerfs. So it's like stuff that like wasn't even that strong is getting nerfed, but that's because like everything is getting nerfed and they don't want something to like stick out. So they're also nerfing the 6 and 9 Dragon Soul for the spell power and the attack speed. Divine 2 finally is getting nerfed from 35% to 25% reduced damage and 25% true extra damage or true damage. And then 4 is getting toned down to 40, but then 6 is the same, and 7 is getting slightly buffed, or not 7, 8 is getting slightly buffed. Sorry, this is a really long patch. Oh my gosh. Okay, and then Duelist, they're slightly toning down Duelist as well. Duelist attack speed, everything is getting nerfed. That's just the rule of this patch. They're turning down 6 and 9 Elder. They're slightly nerfing 6 Warlord and the 9 Warlord. based on the extra health. And then this is getting nerfed in terms of AP, which is definitely needed, I think, if everything is getting nerfed. And then finally, we get to the tier 1 champs. Diana is getting nerfed to base attack speed lower, shield lowered, and damage lowered. See, like, the thing is, I can't really predict whether it was, like, it was needed or they're just trying to, like, tone it down, because this is a really big nerf, even though I don't think Diana was that strong. I don't know. I could be wrong. I do see Diana pop off sometimes, but it's like not that much. Fiora nerf, much needed. I think Fiora was probably one of the stronger rerollers. Nasus nerf, finally. This unit was so broken. Nerfing the 20 mana, which is a lot, and then also nerfing the AP, which is a lot, and also the MR, which is like, it's whatever, I guess. Nidalee is getting nerfed, or it's like changed, but it's definitely a nerf. They're killing her base damage, but they're making it increase damage per hex. But usually, the reason Nidalee reroll is broken was because it was actually one-shotting the frontline as well. But with this nerf, a lot of times, your frontline can't really sustain like staying frontline. And like Nidalee will no longer just like sit in the back and just one-shot units from right next to her, and I don't know, it's a pretty big nerf. And then Wukong AD scaling is nerfed. Yasuo AD scaling, all the one-cost reroll potential is nerfed. Teemo is, I'll get to it. Braum is still getting slightly buffed, mana and attack speed. The attack speed is really noticeable because a lot of times when you're running Dragon Soul, which you should be running if you're running Braum, he can actually like do some damage now. Nautilus slight buff, but they're nerfing the Fable, so they're buffing the unit, but they're nerfing the synergy, which is fine. Teemo is getting changed. Instead of highest attack speed, it's getting changed to the current target, so now it's not going to be like, it just feels bad for your carry if it doesn't have QSS. Like mid game, you can actually play the game. Slight nerf of Zed. I think they're just toning it down just in case like reroll is out of control. Okay, the thing is, they're nerfing like all the reroll, but I think they're like overcompensating. I really don't think Zed is ever going to be even close to good. And it hasn't been good this last patch, but I think they're just tired of getting like yelled at because people just complain. I mean, me included. But Aurelia 3 buff, Katarina nerf. I didn't even know that this was there was a number of targets. I thought it would just like spin on everyone around her, but apparently she has a number of targets. I didn't even know that until now. They're nerfing Cat 3 as well. Kennen is actually getting buffed. I'm really surprised that this went through. 75 AP. I think they buffed it to like even higher on the patch notes before, but that is a lot, because in addition to Ninja, which is 40%, it's going to be an extra 40% on top of 75, which is actually a lot of damage early game, because a lot of times the Kennen can actually just kill stuff before they even cast, which is pretty big. Nico is getting buffed, but then the Fabled multiplier is going down, which is good. Like they're making it so these units are actually playable, just the unit, and they're taking away from the synergy. I wish that they did that for some of the Slayer units as well, but honestly the Slayer 3 is not that good anyway, so whatever. Nunu 2 buff, Nunu 3 nerf, that's fine. Shyvana's just getting slightly nerfed, or not slightly, it's a pretty big nerf, which is pretty good. I'd like to see Kindred getting nerfed a little bit as well, but that's okay. Aatrox is getting slight buffed. Asol is getting a slight nerf on 3-star, I think, only, right? Yeah, only 3-star. Cho'Gath, slight armor buff, which is good. Keeps him more like relevant relative to Sejuani and Aatrox. Because you really could run Aatrox and Sejuani even without Vanguard, but you wouldn't really run Cho'Gath without like Set or something. Kayle is getting nerfed. I'll talk about it later, but Kayle is, it's pretty meaningful, and I don't even think Kayle is that strong, but with everything getting nerfed, I guess this is fine. Morgana 3 is getting nerfed, that's fine. Olaf is finally getting buffed as a unit, so now maybe he can pop off without Runaan's, but I doubt it. I still think Runaan's is probably the best because they're still buffing only the cleave. Talon is getting buffed at 3-star. Tryndamere is just getting like quality of life buffs, 10 mana, faster speed, better targeting, stuff like that. Xayah 3 buff. So overall, Eternal Winter nerf, Mana Zane buff to 8 seconds to 4 seconds. Yone is going to be just slightly tuned up a little bit relative to the other legendaries, which is good. And then Samira is now in Teemo range of it, so probably middle her. I think it's pretty big. I think I'll talk about what I think later. Deathblade is interesting actually. It's 20 AD to 10 per stack, but you start with 4, so it's stronger early, but it's not as good late. So like Samira and Olaf no longer pop super hard nearing the end of the fight. I personally, I think it's an overall nerf, but I still think the item's okay. I wasn't a huge fan of BS Sword item anyway, or BS Sword start, but now with this Deathblade, like early game, when there's not really that many units on the board, I think Deathblade actually is pretty good, especially on sharpshooters. I wouldn't be surprised if BS Sword Opener is actually the strongest, and then you actually just build Deathblade and give up the late game power for early mid game power. Gargoyle slight buff, that's fine. I wouldn't even mind starting Chain, but the only reason I'm not going to is because they actually nerfed the cadence of Sunfire a little bit, but I'll get that later. Static Shiv no longer does extra damage, but now can critical strike, and then when it does critical strike, it reduces the MR of the target by 60%. It's weird because I feel like I don't know, it's kind of weird because I think you would have to pair it with like IE for it to be relevant. You could pair it with Jeweled Gauntlet, but it's not going to crit all the time. And then also the mages don't attack that fast, so I think it's like, I don't even know, like Warlords, Shiv, IE, Tryndamere, and then your Katarina will pop off. I don't really know. I'm not too sure about this. I think that Shiv needed a rework. Also Frozen Heart probably needs one as well, but I can't even tell you honestly. I can't predict what this will do. Shiv targets to 4, and then now it's 2.5 seconds. It's basically a nerf, but Sunfire is still going to be like an instant slam early game. And QSS now properly blocks AD reduction. All the bugs I'm not going to get into. So let me just go over what I predict is going to be strong. I think that the Dragon Soul. So let's just do like a quick summary real quick, in case, because you probably skip to the end anyway. All the 1 costs are getting nerfed. Or all the reroll units are getting nerfed. Chosen is getting toned down a little bit. All the like 4 costs are basically staying the same. So like it's like kind of like an indirect buff. And then the 3-star variant is getting buffed, but like don't really worry about that. You're not gonna hit that often. The Deathblade change is really big. I think Sharpshooter Opener is gonna be really strong with BS Sword if you want to go that route and you want to play Olaf Slayer, Samira, stuff like that. Shiv, I can't really tell. Putting more power into the Fabled units and taking away from the synergy, the Fabled synergy itself. But I think the best comps are still going to be Warlords. I think it's going to be Warlords 6DS with Aesol Shyvana duo carry, Warlords with Katarina, Tryndamere, and Samira, or just the standard KL comps. So those are probably still going to be the 3 most relevant comps. I still think, I also think that for Siphoner, Nasus reroll is still like busted. You can still play Fiora reroll, it's just going to be slightly toned down. But I think Yasuo reroll is not very good. Wukong reroll is not very good. Well, it never was that good. And I think Diana reroll is not that good. I think you can still go Duelist reroll, but keep in mind that the Fiora 3 is better than the Yasuo 3. And then Nasus, Siphoner Nasus is better. So I think those are the top 5 comps. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed. I haven't done one of these videos in a while. I'll probably make a guide, like a tier list and a guide, coming up nearing the middle of the patch, but I'm gonna be playing a lot tomorrow, so I am out of here.